Continuing, nobody challenged the dollar. It was left free, and it was a free market. Everybody is using the dollar for their buying and selling of goods internationally. India used to buy dollars to buy goods from, say, Peru. Peru used to buy dollars to buy goods from China. China used to buy dollars to get the goods from Japan. Japan used to buy dollars to buy goods from India. And everybody, everybody was ruling. Everybody was going around with the dollar being. And what was happening? There was not enough business in the US. What was happening there? Because of the reason other countries have got into new technologies, car manufacturing, that it was taken over by the Japanese and the Koreans. And the best cars were being produced in the Japan, and the top-notch, end cars were being other types of cars were being manufactured in Germany, like the Volvo, etc., etc. Sorry, the Volvo is a Swedish car, and Mercedes-Benz. You had so many different types of cars coming in, and that made the death knell of the car industry in Detroit, in the US. Detroit was the place where cars were manufactured for the world once upon a time. You name the car which was available up till the 1970s, it was made in America. Ford, yes. You had the Chevrolet, yes. You had, so many other GM. So many different types of cars were manufactured there. They're huge cars. They consume huge amounts of fuel, giving 1 mile to a gallon sometimes. That kind of huge cars, V6 cars, powerful cars, stylish cars. All that came to a full stop when Japan started manufacturing its cars. Its beauty, its design, its service, its, the delivery of mileage for the fuel consumed. All that happened. And slowly, America started closing down its industries. When it started closing down, because the dollar was so powerful, they felt that importing a car was easier rather than manufacturing it there, because I am able to get it at a cheaper rate, a better car. So why should I manufacture in the US? And so Detroit closed down. Then what happened? They found that Korea was making steel. Everybody was making steel, good quality of steel, good quantity of steel. China, Japan, Korea. Everybody was willing to give to US cheap rates. So then the US, what happened in the US? The US businessmen felt, hey, why the hell should I manufacture here when I can get cheap steel from other places and start trading? So big industries closed down. Bethlehem Steel closed down. There's so many US steel shut down. Its operations became so limited. People were out of jobs. People had no jobs. People were living off the dole of the American government. And so what happened? People started importing heavily, and they started manufacturing. Then slowly, when that happened, all the hard industries like steel, car manufacture, and so many other things came down to a full stop in the US. That's what happened. And the US was in doldrums with regard to that. But everybody, because of the population and the amount of people working in those areas were limited, the average unemployment rose. As compared to the other part of the world, it was not very high. But for the US, it was very high. So when people started losing jobs, towns just closed up. States which were earning huge revenues from those businesses just folded up. They could not maintain their roads, they could not maintain their parks, they couldn't maintain their schools, they couldn't maintain their hospitals, they couldn't maintain anything. And rich states like Pennsylvania, all this closed down. They found them to be in the doldrums. North Carolina, you name it, Detroit, Michigan was finding it difficult to meet its basic needs because the taxes were down, because their industries were down. So the next level was, then they found out one other avenues. Oh, the dollar is very powerful. We have enough money. So what do? Okay, take the dollar, give it to China, give it to Japan, give it to Korea, give it to India, give it to Cambodia. Start manufacturing goods there. So suppose I have to pay my labor $10, I pay them only $3, and so when I bring it to the US, there were no tariffs. Tariffs are very minimal, even then, if that case may be. And they started producing those goods outside America, and they started bringing it into US. And they brought it to the US. What could have been available in the US for $12 was, since it was manufactured outside India, outside the US at a lower rate, at say $3, including the transportation, everything put together, it came only to $5. So they found another way. So instead of selling it at $12, they sold it at $7, still made a profit after manufacturing it abroad. And who were the losers? The loser, the US people. They did not understand it. Did not hit them at the beginning. They were getting cheaper goods. They were getting everything cheap. And hence, and since the dollar was powerful, everybody was using the dollar, living happily. They never understood what is going to be the global impact if anything happens to the dollar and to the US economy. Nobody ever thought and applied their minds on that. I do not know. But maybe they could have applied, they would have. I don't think there were so many dunces there sitting in the federal. They would have. But I do not know why the action was not taken. But I'm just continuing with my perception, what I have about it. Then the technology came in. When technology came in, like they said they set up plants abroad to manufacture their software. Manufacture, they packet the software and sell it all over the world in dollars, and everybody was willing to buy it at their rates in their own countries, and the money was taken out to the US. So what happened? That money was brought into the US and was kept for furthering the business for research industries. It was not for hard industries where they were giving employment. Another idea came in. Why should I employ people within the US at higher cost to manufacture my software? I will use the same people who are developing my software outside US at lower cost, bring them over to the US, settle them here in US at the same rate or slightly higher rate to match with the requirements of the US, and I will pay them a slightly higher rate and start manufacturing the software in the US at lower rates and make the profits. So the profits were booming. Profits were booming. The top end the top end officers are earning billions, trillions. People have never heard of that kind of money in the world at any time. Everybody was talking in, $300 million bonuses and $600 million bonuses. Nobody has ever thought what is even today in India or in Cambodia or in Vietnam, nobody will understand when they say $300 million bonus. $1 million also is not conceived in, if you go down to a place like Bihar, $1 million, no one will understand what is $1 million. Even the same thing, go to a state like Michigan and go to Detroit and say $1 million, they'll laugh at you because people don't understand what is $1 million. But you're talking about a bonus of $300 million. You're talking about stock options of $1 trillion. It is something mind-boggling. You can't think about those figures at all. And those were kept rerouted there all over the world. Rather than distributing it and setting up industries in the US, they were exploiting the dollar for personal services, is my opinion. I'm not a communist. I'm not a socialist. I'm just talking as my perception of what I would feel. How a individual will feel when I don't have a job, another person has $600 million, and he can afford build another person to bring into my country and serve and be here and earn a salary and develop the same thing in my own country. See, this is what happened. And that was the perception which developed over years. I'll continue with it.